Hi, and welcome back to That So Nova. If you're a first-time person watching my show, thank you for coming to visit. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. If you can stop what you're doing, hit that like button or smash it, punch it, whatever makes you feel good inside, go ahead and do it. Today we're going to be doing a bag from Bagstock. It's been a minute, but she came back with a bang. We're going to be doing the Ava Shoulder Bag. This bag is meant for a skill level for confident beginners, but it's user friendly for everything. You have a couple different options for closures for the flap. You can either do a turn lock, flip lock, thumb lock, magnetic lock, a 24 line lap, a 24 line snap. There's endless closure. Today I'm going to be showing you a magnet, but not just any kind of magnet. I'm going to be showing you how to do those pretty exterior magnets that people are getting, like the butterflies and whatnot, because I'm getting a lot of requests on how to do this. But I'm also going to walk you through how to do a regular magnet so you can follow this video from start to finish. You also have the option either to do a shoulder strap or a crossbody strap, or you can do a chain. There's a lot of build your own adventure on this. This is a great bag. It also has a very unique shape, and it has a recessed zipper, so your goodies inside that bag are going to be very safe and secure. You have credit card slots, and that has a slip pocket in the back for like cash or your phone or what have you. And then you have a zipper pocket. So you got everything. This is a birth bag, not a binding bag. So for the people that hate binding bags in the back, just take a deep breath in and woosah it out. All right, let's get started. All right, so when you look at the pattern, you're going to see the anatomy of the bag, and I absolutely adore when pattern designers do this, so you can kind of like, figure out how you want to do the fabrics. She has a main motif with a nice vinyl accent. So the cotton is the main print, and then she has the flap and the gusset with the vinyl. And I love the fact that she has a shoulder bag. Not everybody wants a crossbody bag. Some people do request a shoulder bag. So make sure you purchase the pattern, which is going to be in the comment, it's going to be pinned in the comment section, but it's also going to be in the description section. There's no affiliate link. If you're like, Shinova, dude, you really helped me out. I want to buy you something for helping me walk this out. I will put my Ko-fi information in the description box, and if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, go for it. All right, so we're going to start from the very beginning, the very first place to start. I need to stop watching Sound of Music. Okay, so make sure you do all the interfacing pieces. It's really important. We're going to flip on over to page 8. And on page 8, you're going to want to grab your pattern piece A. That is the exterior. And I labeled all my pattern pieces and clipped them together. So, pattern piece A. It looks like there's a lot of materials, but there really isn't. All right. So, if you're going to install a twist lock or a flip lock, she's going to tell you to put the female half down, and you're going to mark it down 2 3/4 of an inch down from the center. And yes, I am folding this, and I'm just going to mark my centers with a small little snip here and on the bottom. When I do that, I like to draw on the back and do everything on the back. It just makes my life easier, and then I'm not worried about something seep through to the front, with a erasable pen, so you can see I'm drawing the line. So if you were to do a flip lock or a turn lock, you will measure 2 3/4 of an inch down from there to put your female half. Okay, if you're going to use a magnetic part, you would do the same measurements. So I'm just putting a little line there from the top of the edge. I'm going to get the female half. Apparently I have 2 female halves, so I'm going to have to fish out for a male half eventually. And a washer. On the washer, I'm going to use as a template where my dot is and just draw 2 lines. I'm going to grab a small X-Acto knife and just kind of just put my X-Acto knife at the lowest point and just lift my fabric to go in. It makes my life easy. I don't cut myself, and I'm all done. If you're using cotton motif, please use a fray check on there so that your fabric does not fray. And then I'm going to fold the prongs onto themselves. Now, you can use fusible fleece on here, or whatever you use to prevent, because we're going to turn this bag and you don't want your hand to scratch, and you also don't want the interior to rub against it and wear over time. I don't really recommend fusible fleece because if you're doing a magnet, because it can demagnetize the magnet. So I'm using electrical tape that you can get at your hardware store, and it stays. A lot of people use duct tape. Duct tape does not work for me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I have Hulk hands. I can rip duct tape, and so if I could rip the tape, then this is not going to stay on for very long. But I can't rip electrical tape. Go figure. So, all right. So we have our lock. Now we're going to start putting together our flap. We're going to put this on the side for right now. Our flap is not a lot of pieces. It's pattern piece D. We should have a lining. We should have a lining. We should have a lining and exterior with interfacing on one side. So we're going to put these pieces together, right sides together. And you can put a couple of clips just to keep it in place. I like to put them on the top so nothing shifts. And on the bottom, we're going to sew this together. Oh, sorry. Before we put this together, if you're going to be inserting the mel, I always forget this, so I'm glad I caught myself. If you're going to be inserting the mel, the mel magnet, you're going to need to find your centers. So again, I'm going to cut my centers, and we're going to be putting this on the lining piece. So on the back side of your lining piece, you would draw the same line. It helps to do this line tremendously, so that way you can get an accurate marking. And you would measure up 1 5/8 of an inch. So it'll be, if you measure up 1 1/2 and then 1/8 mark, you should be able to do it. Make your mark, and then you would put the mel lock in on the lining side. You can put extra like Decorative light or anything on that side to help it keep it. And now if you're putting like a fancy lock like I am, you would need to find your center on the exterior. And you would need to I'm going to do this with chalk. And I'm going to measure 1 5/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to do this with a heat erasable pen because I don't want the mark to move. And I'm putting the mark there now because we're going to put these right sides together. So if you're doing an invisible one, a magnet, your magnet will be right here, and you'll be doing right sides together. So you would see the wrong side of the lining and the wrong side of the exterior. And putting the snips is a good thing because then you can measure up and make sure everything's lined up nice and tight. And we're going to sew around this U at 3/8 of an inch. Backstitch well, like 2 or 3 stitches at the beginning and the end. Okay, and from here, you know, whenever I'm filming, there's always something that is low-key missing, and I never understand why until until I'm looking for it. So I'm missing my peeking shears. Oh no, not yay! I purposely get my peeking shears in different colors so that way I can locate them. You don't have to use peeking shears. I just noticed that when I have anything that has a curve, it makes it sit nicer. It helps reduce the bulk. Also, I have this weird thing. Okay, don't judge. We talk about it and we don't judge. When I pink, I try to get it all in one pill. Like when you peel an orange, I don't know why. Okay, so then we're going to turn this right sides out. And it's going to be, if you're using vinyl or anything that's not cotton, or you're using water resistant canvas, it's going to be a little snug. It's going to take a while, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that. You can definitely hit it with some heat prior to turning it. It's a little bit more pliable that way. And let me show you. Hold on. Sometimes when you hit it with a little bit of heat, the materials get a little bit more pliable. Hopefully I did not erase completely my mark right now. I thought about that after I hit the heat. Okay. And there's still the mark there. Good. All right. So then you need like some kind of pointing, turning tool to help just press against those seams. Because we're going to top stitch this. We're going to top stitch this all the way around the flap at 1/8 of an inch. When I say all the way around, we're even going to top stitch this close, the very top. This bag is super domestic machine friendly. You're going to see in this video the first one I did, I made with cork and cotton, and I did it on my Juki 5550, which is an equivalent to like a Janome HD or a Juki QVP Mini, and it sewed up with breeze. There is one area that can get bulky, and again, it can get bulky based off the materials that you use. So I would highly recommend you to use like materials suggested in the pattern, and you'll have no issue whatsoever. So let me get a magnet, and we will proceed all right. So to install one of these magnets, I get this question a lot. You need a screwdriver, and sometimes because these come from overseas, I usually kind of hit the back on a solid surface to just loosen up the screws a little bit, because they can get stuck. And I just put all my screws in a pile. And then I use like similar to the prongs that I used over there, I do the same thing here. I'm going to line it up with that mark that we made earlier. I'm going to make it a little bit more pronounced. And I just want to make sure that it's even as possible. And it is. And I'm going to draw the punch where we're going to punch the holes. All right. I'm going to get my hole puncher. And I'm going to put it on a pretty decent hole punch, because you're punching through multiple layers and you want these screws to be attached. So I'm going to punch holes. And sometimes I need to sharpen my punch. I know it's scary to punch holes when you're like, I just finished this flap. I'm going to go to the back. Just make sure it's nice and clean. Okay. And then while I'm here, I'm going to just put this back on the regular hole punch setting, because I'm notorious for accidentally punching incorrectly. So I'm going to thread the stems of the magnet top on here. So the front will look like this. And if you want, you can put a little fray check to make sure everything else doesn't fray. And this is the back. So I'm going to take the mel and stick it through here, and I'm going to fold the prongs. You can fold them out or onto itself. I prefer when the prongs are onto themselves. I feel like there's a greater, less chance for it to slide on out. And then I'm going to place the backing on here. And I'm going to put all the screws on very lightly to make sure all of them can be screwed in. And then I'll go around and tighten them up. Now there are some people that put some kind of glue on here like a Loctite. I don't do that. Here, the reason why I don't do this is because let's say this person wears this bag for 2 years, right? And let's say I've had this weirdly happen. And like their dog or something happened where their bag gets destroyed and they want you to remake the same. And unfortunately, this designer doesn't carry this hardware anymore. You can repurpose this hardware onto a new bag. So if you give it a good, screw, then it's going to be helpful. There's 3, it's not going to fall apart. If a person recognizes that one screw comes off, then you can have them bring the bag in and you can put a new screw in. This is like a universal screw that you can get at Home Depot, Amazon, whatever. So that's the reason why I don't do it. So now we have our flap. And it's really cool because you have now this really beautiful decorative flap. So now we're going to go get, we're going to keep this flap out and we're going to go get pattern piece C. And B. All right, so again, let's find our centers. And this doesn't have interfacing on it. We're going to put interfacing on here after these next steps. So have your iron ready. All right, so we're going to put, we have the fabric piece C face up. We're going to place our flap right sides together, and we're going to match the center marks that we put together. We're going to base this at 1/8 of an inch. Then we're going to take pattern piece B and place it on top. You want the long part to be out and the shorter part to be on the top. Now, you're going to think that it's going to have overage. No, the pattern designer is a perfectionist when it comes down to pattern pieces. So take those notches and match them. Take a few clips and, I'm sorry, everyone in my house is getting a cold. I'm hoping I don't, but my voice keeps going in and out. Take some clips and clip it down. You'll see it's all going to line up pretty good. Okay, we're going to top stitch this. We're going to piece it together at 3/8 of an inch. Back stitch 2 or 3 stitches. Okay. We're going to flip this up, putting the seam allowance down into the bottom of the bag, and see how like those little tails get tucked in here. I think that is so cool. We're going to now top stitch this down 1/8 of an inch on this seam. All right, and I'll be able to get this chalk off a little bit later. So what we're going to do from here is I'm going to measure 3/8 of an inch here and just here, and we're going to put that interfacing on. And I just measure so that way I have like I'll mark so that way I know where to put the stabilizer piece and to try to match it up so it's not, you know, exactly in the seam allowance, because sometimes, you know, it likes to get all wonky. If I could find the stabilizer piece that I just had. There we go. So I'm just holding it like 5 to 10 seconds in each spot, making sure it adheres really well. And when I'm done adhering it, I have concrete floors, but I like to put this face down on something nice and cool, like a like concrete or marble or something that won't warp, like wood or something. So it can cure and cool down at a much faster pace than putting it right side up on something. Like a heating mat, the heat will still be retained in the heating mat, and it'll have the glue still tacky, so I like to throw it on the floor. It's not sounding elegant, but it does its job. And you just really want to make sure those edges are down. And you'll see, like, you know yours is right when you can see, like, the indentation of the flap, because it's really adhering. You can see the indentation of the line because it's molding and going around it. And that's important. All right. So I'm going to put this on the ground. All right, I don't know why I put that away because we're going to be needing it for the next step. This credit card slot. All right, so the first time I did this designer's credit card slot, I thought I was going to lose my ever-loving mind. So we're going to need pattern piece H, and I'm going to walk you through this, and you're going to realize how cool this credit card slot really is. All right, so we're going to you need to find your top and your bottom. So I'm just going to put a T here for you so you can see this is the top, and the right side and the wrong side. So this is going to be the top wrong because I have a mark here, and this is going to be the right, I guess. So on the right side, you need to have use an erasable pen or a marker, something. So I'm going to use chalk because it kind of just dusts off really easily. So I'm going to do the first mark at 4.5. When you put it together, you're going to be like, she's a genius, because I sure did the same. Then from there, you're going to do 4 inches. I love how inventive, like, designers' minds are. Like, it's just amazing. And then we're going to do another 4 inches. All right, so this is the top, right? So you can know that. And then on the wrong side, we're on the top edge, we're going to do 2.75 inches. You could do it with an erasable pen. My heat erasable pens, I don't know what it is. As soon as any heat comes, they all just disappear. And then I'm like, it was all for naught. It was all for naught. So I'm over dramatic in my workroom. 4 inches. And 4 inches. Now, you're like, Shanova, why are we having lines on the back and the front? Because we are going to press lines for both. And it's just going to come out right. You're like, what? Let me show you. All right, so we're on the wrong side. We're going to press the lines for the wrong side first. You could do the right side. There's no wrong way or right way, but we're going to do the wrong side first. Just press, just fold and press. Don't do it accordion, just fold and press. All right? You're just folding it onto itself and press. All right, so we're going to flip it to the right side, right? Now we're going to fold onto the lines on the right side and press. We're just folding it onto itself, folding the right side line. And if you want the lines to be nice and crisp, use a hot roller. You will get perfect lines every time. And then this is the last one. All right. So when you, it just folds up. It literally, from pressing it onto itself, it literally just folds up. And that is the top right side. I don't know how she does this magic. You guys just seen it, and it is magic. So you're literally just folding it onto itself, and because you fold everything onto yourself, it just comes together. I have never seen anything. This is the top wrong side. I've never seen anything like this before. Like it is magic. So I'm gonna go ahead and give us a good rest. Yeah, you guys just witnessed bag magic. And again, you didn't see me folding like right sides together. You just see me pressing each crease on the line, and it just accordion folds on itself. This is magic at its best. Okay, so you're welcome. Okay, so when I first seen, I was like, no, she didn't. No, she didn't. But like, yes, if you look at 12, page 12 at the theme, it just accordion folds on itself. It's quite interesting. So now we're going to top stitch each one for the card slots at 1/8 of an inch. And then we're going to do the same thing. It's crazy. And you could just, if you're using a solid like mine, with a heat erasable pen, just put top right and top wrong, and you'll see, and you're going to be like, this is magic, and you're going to want to use this template that she provides on everything. And she actually shows this actually on Instagram. It is pretty genius how it comes together, and once you do it, you're just like, what? What in the Harry Potter? I did chalk so that you can see it, but the chalk, I like chalk because chalk comes off easily, but I also like using chalk pens that are similar in the color scale that I'm doing, because then you don't notice. All right, so from here, it tells you how wide your card slot should be. So our card slots should be 8 1/4, and they are, and it should be 4.5 inches tall, and it is exactly. So then we need to do go down the sides, and you can go down the sides backwards or forward. It's up to you. I never have an issue going in front, but I know some people do. So if you do, go from up to down. But it's a base, so I just hold it together. I'm still thrown off by that. I'm to this every time I do it on her patterns. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I get kind of excited when she puts credit cards on stuff. I'm like, yes, we're gonna do the magic. Like, I'm ready to be like Expelliarmus, but no, there's no Expelliarmus, and I'm just excited for no reason. So I'm just gonna draw my center lines. And if you really want to get accurate, you can find the center. It should be 4 1/8. And that's exactly what it is. And we're going to draw sew down there. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning and end. I sometimes backstitch over each credit card slot so you can put more credit cards in the slots. I'm an overstuffer. All right. All right, so from here, we're going to press the wrong sides 3/8 of the inch in. So what I like to do is, if we're pressing the wrong sides in, draw a 3/4 of an inch line across the top back. And we're going to press it onto itself. And we're also going to need the credit card slot I. We need to do that with that one as well. If you're using waterproof canvas and it's going to burn, you can definitely do double-sided tape if that makes it easier. I'm going to do the double-sided tape because it's not going to crease. It's going to do like a mini crease and not really hold. So I'm going to put 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. If your machine, it can't handle it, it gums it up, then definitely press. But it all depends on your waterproof canvas. I noticed that waterproof canvas and water-resistant canvas does a little bit better than twill when it comes down to folding onto itself, but that's just my personal preference. So we're folding it over 3/8 of an inch. On the top. So if you have cotton, you'll be folding it over and pressing it. I'm just using double-sided tape in lieu of that. And then we're going to mosey on over to page 13. And we're going to put these two together, and we're going to sew it with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So I'm going to grab a pen, and on the back of this, I'm going to draw the sections of the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, so that way I can make sure that I can get the crosshairs on point, so I know exactly where to pivot to make a nice clean pocket. So these two parts are going to be right sides together, and I'm going to pin these at the top so that they don't shift. And I'm going to sew this at 1/4 of an inch with going down, across, and up. Back stitching well at the beginning and the end. And we are going to trim the corners as close as we can without cutting into the stitches. I like to use a pinking shear so I can get into that V. And I'm just going to trim a little bit on the sides because it's a very thin seam allowance, just 1/4 of an inch. I don't want to trim too much. Turn this right sides out. We're just going to use a pointer turn tool and just poke this out a little bit, not too much. You don't want to use a sharp thing. You don't want anything poking a hole through it. And this area is going to be a little bulky, so you can use a seam roller to roll over it, a hammer, or anything you have to do it, because even with cotton, you're going through at any given moment like 6 to 8 layers. So just be a little cautious around that area. We're going to top stitch this top at 1/8 of an inch. Okay. We're going to get pattern piece E, one of the lining pieces. And we're going to mark our centers. This is fabric that I got from Backstitch, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. It's a jelly bean Harry Potter. Okay, we're going to measure down 1 3/4 of an inch. And this is a very awkward location. You can pin it. Put a magnet. Whatever can help you in this journey. Okay, so now we're going to go around this. Hold on 1 second. We're going to go around this and sew 1/8 of an inch down, across, and on the top. On this area, I'm going to back stitch 2 or 3 times and do 1 stitch off and on to just really tack it on. If any of the materials or items I'm using you want to know more about, please leave a message or a comment down below. See how that's a really thick area? Leave a comment down below and I will gladly let you know what I'm using. If it's no longer a company or something like that, I'll try to see if there's any company that has a substitute, but I can't guarantee anything. Like this fabric, I don't think they make it anymore. I found this just by surprise. I was looking for some other Harry Potter fabric and stumbled across this in my fabric world. And that's how you do your pins to stay straight. You feed the fabric through it, not the needle through it, if that makes sense. All right, so now you have a really beautiful credit card slot. See how I back stitched right here? You have a beautiful credit card slot that has a cash slot or a phone slot, whatever you see fit. All right, let's start getting the other lining piece ready. So we need pattern piece F, and we're going to draw 3/4 of an inch on all sides. Sorry if that sound is the texture of this material is this twill is interesting. Sometimes it picks up ink really well, and sometimes it doesn't. I'm just making sure because that looks a little wide. All right, there we go. Okay. Then we're going to grab our second lining piece. And we're going to mark our centers again. We're going to crease this so we have our center, and we're going to put this aside and grab our zipper and our zipper pockets and work on this. So our zipper pockets, we're going to sew I feel like this should be a little larger. Hold on. I think you need a little larger zipper tape. All right. So I'm going to find the center of my zipper tape. I don't cut the zipper tape, but I do make some marks so that way all right. So I'm going to line this up and base this on at 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to do the same over here. That's my dog, if you hear him in the background. I'm going to trim off this little toe. This one too. Alright, and then I'm just going to grab my pressing mat real quick. And I'm just going to kind of press this open. One, I'm shrinking the threads, so that's locking that in, and then I'm just opening this up. I'm going to put some double-sided tape on this. And then I'm going to grab a zipper pull. You can have your zipper pull going to the left or the right. It's your heart content. Some people like going to the right. Some people like going to the left. Some people just put it on any direction. Just know I like to go to the left. And then I literally sing Beyonce song when I'm like putting on my zipper pull. I'm like, to the left. Like, and that's how I know to put my bags in my zipper pulls to the left. Let's see. This is gonna, there's some fuzz. Let's snip these real quick. These two coils. Get the zipper pull on. Okay, so we have that ready. So now we're going to measure 3/4 of an inch down. And again, you could put a pin in it, and you can decrease your stitches just a tad so that way you can do this box. Okay, after you decrease, remember to put your stitch length back to normal. Okay, we're going to now open this up. We're going to snip, and then we're going to cut a V towards the inside of the boxes, but not cutting into the stitches. Now, sometimes we accidentally do it. The best of us do it. If that happens, it's not the end of the world. You can go around and do like a 1/8 or 1/16 all the way around, or you can just try to stitch around that area that you snipped in and go from there. It's not the end of the world. It's just a little bit more work. All right. So I like to fold this the zipper pouch on to itself before I like to turn it. I feel like it preps the material for turning in. It gives it a nice clean shape, and it shrinks again the stitches. We're just going to press this open, and then we're going to attach the zipper. Sometimes the most professional thing you can have, the most professional tool you have is your iron. I know a lot of people don't like ironing, but it can give you the most perfect results and help with puckering, help with like any issue you really are having with your zipper. And I didn't bring it, but I use my clapper a lot too. It's a wooden, oh, I did bring it, yeah. So whenever I do it, use the whole tool, the iron, I use this wooden clapper. It, like, the heat bounces back on it and it goes back into it, and it helps really get this area as flat as possible, and it just gives it a really nice finish. See, just a beautiful, just, it helps tremendously. And I got this one, it's a family owned one from Jackson Woodworks, and I believe they're in Kentucky if I'm not mistaken, but yeah. So now we're going to, we open this up, we're going to go to page 16. We're going to remove some of this double-sided tape. And again, if you're using cotton, you don't necessarily need to have double-sided tape. You can pin this, but most of you are watching, you use double-sided tape, so you're good. And we're going to center this as best as we can. All right, so now we're going to sew all the way around this box 1/8 of an inch. You can pull your threads to the back. I don't. Hear me out. I love the way it looks, but I'm really hard on pockets. We're going to birth this, so I'm going to back stitch over these to make a zipper stops. I just feel like one row of stitching is not enough to make a zipper stop. Everyone has a different thought process on theirs. There's no wrong way and there's no right way. Whatever feels right to you is the right way, okay? So I'm going to start on the zipper stop one, and I'm going to go forward and I'm going to go back. I do like 2 stitches on this because I really just feel that I want to create a zipper stop. I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to go forward and go back and then come again, because I'm rough on zippers when I do utilize them, because sometimes I just leave them open. When I do utilize them, I'm just really rough on them. But if I know I'm going to be birthing a pocket out of it, I want to make sure that nothing is going to pop out or all that jazz. And you can tell that there's a nice zipper stop. So we're going to take this, fold it down, and we're going to trim off this excess so it's nice and flush. All right. We're going to fold this up 3/4 of an inch. I folded up. You can draw 3/4 of an inch mark and then fold it up, and it'll be exactly 3/8 of an inch. Because I'm not the best eyeballer. Like, they'll be like, eyeball it and look at, fold up 3/8 of an inch. I'm like, that is not a common measurement for me. So, yeah. So I'm just gonna put a clip. And put a clip, and then what I'm going to do is just flip it up, and then I'm just going to match that fold and then I'm going to sew this up using a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm going to backstitch really well at the beginning and the end because, again, this is where it's going to get curved. Try to get that little V area that you had made when you cut out the zipper pocket to really hold it down. And I'm just going to open this up fully. Backstitch really well at the beginning and the end. All right. All right, so we have a nice pocket. All right, so now we're going to work on the connectors. So that's going to be pattern piece L. We're going to get some double-sided tape. We're going to see me struggle. I always struggle on camera getting double-sided tape off. It is a real issue. Let's see. Okay. All right, we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch down both sides. Okay, and then we're going to have a wrong side and a right side. We're going to get our D-rings, and I'm going to get a little bit of more double-sided tape, and I'm going to put it on the wrong side. I'm doing this so it can hold it in place when we put the connectors on, because the short ends have to meet themselves in the middle. So I'm going to fold it in on itself, and it'll stay better if you just put a little bit of double-sided tape. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. You also can use like Beacon's glue if you want. Whatever your method is, it's going to be fine. Again, there's no wrong or right. Okay, then we're going to be sewing a box. My thing is that with hardware, it's really hard to sew over it. So I'm going to make a mark that shows 3/8 of an inch away, because I know from my machine, it does better if I sew 3/8 of an inch away from the hardware. So I'm just going to make those marks right now. I'm going to grab our gusset, which is the piece R. All right, and we're going to measure we need to measure 1 3/8 of an inch down. So I'm just going to fold it in half. I know it looks unconventional, but it's easier for me to mark these. So I have my where this goes here, and I'm going to mark it on the other side. I'm just measuring. All right. Once we have our measurements, again, I'm going to get another piece of double-sided tape because I'm using faux leather. I can't exactly pin, and the magnet won't work because now these are a few layers. So double-sided tape is going to be my key, and I'm putting it in the middle because I'm not sewing in the middle. I'm going to be sewing around, so it should be fine. And I'm just going to lay that down. I'm putting the edge of the connector, not the metal, at that mark. All right. Now I'm going to sew around a box like suggested on page 18. But like I said, I know my machine, it doesn't like sewing, and it starts like giving me wonky stitches if I get too close. So I'm going to start where I had it before. You could pull the threads to the back, but again, I'm just going to back stitch. I want this to be as secure as possible. Okay. I'm going to be adding some rivets, so we're going to be heading to the table next to punch some rivets in, just for that extra security. And take your time and make sure you breathe. I think when I teach people in person, I notice like people are turning red and pink because they're like not breathing during the top stitching phase, and you need to breathe. just a little, okay? Just to make sure you get some kind of circulation. So we're gonna go bring this over, and we're going to go get some. We're gonna go get some rivets on here. So bring your bag over here, and we're going to do some rivets. I'm going to be using some really pretty pink rivets because of the pink magnet. But as you can see here, I did another magnet thing, and I did two, like a decorative. Ooh, that does not want to move. A decorative one and a regular one. So we're going to be doing just two on each side. So we're going to need 4 stems and 4 heads. Okay, and then we are going to make one. We're gonna do one halfway up and one half inch up, and the other one a half an inch down. So I'm going to mark my centers. So one is going to be a half inch up, and the other one is going to be a half inch down. All right. All right. I'm going to be using a mat. I'm punching on my mat. I have a metal piece. This metal is really heavy. I usually have a piece of like rubber underneath so the shock can reverberate better, but it is far in the back. So excuse the noise, but this is one of my easiest ways that I like to punch holes. This is a 3/32 punch drill bit. Clean holes. All right, so we're going to thread the stems in. That looks so pretty against this. Just that pop of color. Okay, I'm going to move this aside. I'm going to set my rivets. I have a buckle guide press. It feels like it's going to press like it goes down twice and it sets pretty easy. All right, let's go back to the sewing machine. This looks really nice. Okay. And I'm going to put my name tag on the side. You can put it on the back of the bag. You can put it anywhere you desire. I've really been liking having my name tag on the back. I have no idea why. You know, something to look at. I get my name tags. This is a cork one from Heartwood and Hyde. Okay. All right, so we marked our centers. And we are going to start assembling the gusset. Assembling the bag. Okay. We're going to start with the back first. And I like to put the bottom clip to match, and then I put a clip on the top of each side. If you're new to my channel, you'll know I'm not a stapler. You should know I'm not a stapler. I never have been. I think in certain areas that you really are trying to get a perfection lineup, then go for it. But I have a deep rooted fear of staplers since I was a wee little Nova. And you'll notice that this gusset fits like a glove. All right, so we're going to sew this at 3/8 of an inch. Back stitch really well at the beginning and the end. Wrinkles above is fine. Crinkles and wrinkles below is not. If you have crinkles or wrinkles, put your needle in the needle down position and try to maneuver them and move how you see fit. Okay. We're going to now put the front on. And you can see, go through, and if you have any like areas that are pulling, you can do a second row of stitching, but you should be okay. This was an interesting color choice. Okay, so little tongue-in-cheek there, little tongue-in-cheek. Okay, I'm gonna put this on the top. Ooh, sorry about that. We're going to now sew this part at 3/8 of an inch as well. Back stitch well. Okay, you almost got there. Just move those, position it with the needle down, and you're going to be golden. All right, we're going to cut those threads. All right, and then we're going to trim the seam allowance down to 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to paint around the curves. You don't have to do this. I think it gives the bag a better shape. 1/4 of an inch. And I'm not going to paint at the very top because I want, when we are matching stuff, I want to really make it, to make sure those pieces can align really nice. Because there's no really material or stabilizers or interfacings in the seam allowance, so it should cut like butter. You're only going through like 2 layers, and at the most 4 or 3 out with the back. All right, and you're going to leave this like this. I know you want to turn it right side out. We will. Just leave it like this. Now we're going to work on the lining. So I just like clip the pocket up here so it's out of the way. Okay, so this gets a little bit more interesting. We're going to start at 3/8 of an inch, but then turn it into 5/8 and then go back to 3/8 of an inch. It's a this lining, when it's turned right sides out together, I mean, when the bag is like positioned right, it is absolutely stunning. It's like it fits like a glove, perfect fit bag. Like there's no bagginess, no nothing. It's quite beautiful. All right. So again, we're going to start with the lining at 3/8, and then we're going to go back. We're going to, softly you know, make the seam allowance go greater to 5/8 of an inch. So back and stitch at the very beginning and the end really well, and then gradually work into 5/8 of an inch. That's why I made sure that I clipped my pocket out of the way so that it accidentally doesn't get sewn, because I'm notorious for that. Every single bag. And if you have a crinkle or wrinkle above the line, perfectly okay. It's when it's below that it will show. But if it's in the lining also, it's not devastating. No one's going to be like, well, there's a wrinkle in my lining. And if you're working with water-resistant canvas, you can definitely snip to make it lay flatter, because it is kind of hard to get everything to lay flat when you're using twill or water-resistant canvas or all that. Okay, we're going to start gradually pulling a 1/2 inch, then to 3/8 of an inch, and back stitch. Foot's up on it. And then I'm going to trim, but like leaving that 3/8 of an inch on top, but trim this down. Okay, and we're going to do this with the other side, and you see it's like nice and crisp and tight in there, and it looks really nice when it's all done. And we're not too much far to go. We're going to be making the zipper panels, and then we're going to be assembling. See, you could just do like 3/8 of an inch snips, and it can lay just so much more flatter. And it makes your life a whole lot easier. Okay, you got this. I love putting the assembly of the bag, because it's like it's such a great accomplishment. We know we worked really hard to get this bag together, and the end result you're going to absolutely love. Okay, start off at 3/8 of an inch. Back stitch really well. We're going to go to 5/8 of an inch, of course. And again, wrinkles and crinkles above. Okay, so we're going to start varying to a 1/2 inch, and then quickly progress into 3/8 of an inch. Okay. And then we're going to peek around here again. Again, you don't have to use pinking shears. You can use regular shears. I just find with cotton or twill or any fabric that frays, pinking shears are the way. I just did a rhyme. I need a t-shirt that says that now. Okay. All right. So I'm going to unclip that. So we have, look at how beautiful that is. It's so pretty. We have a really nice lining thing, and we want to make sure that our pocket is fully open in here. All right. So now we're going to start working on the zipper. So I'm going to singe both ends. And then we are going to, this is a size 14 zipper. We need to measure 1 inch down. We're going to go to, I'm doing a continuous zipper. But there's instructions for a metal zipper, which I just love that you have so many different options. So for the continuous, I'm going to measure 1 inch down. And then you're going to just separate from that 1 inch, and then you're going to pinch on that line that we drew, like pinch it, see, like you pinch it, and then you're going to take that pinch mark and fold it onto itself, like that. So I'm going to take a pin and just let that be. So we're going to pinch where we drew the line, fold it, and just let it, see how it, when you pinch it, how this part just naturally wants to fold onto itself. You're going to pinch it and let it fold onto itself. And put a pin. Now we're going to take it to the sewing machine and sew down on these straight parts. Going to do it on this side, and then I will show you. All right. So there you have it. You have both sides stitched down. It's pretty cool. Then we're going to put our zipper pull on. So I'm going to slide that on, make sure it's nice and even, and then I just push it on. You hear like a click like a Lego, and it's there. We're going to now put a sew back and forth on the bottom to put a zipper stop. So you're going to unzip this like that. So we have our zipper. Now we're going to grab our recessed zipper panels, our closure zipper panels, and we're going to be making some marks. We want to have this 3/8 of an inch away. So I'm just going to draw a line. Okay. And 3/8 of the way on the bottom as well. We want to just stop. And then we're going to put some double-sided tape. The reason why we stop and start on there is so we can do some cool folding. So I'm going to put, where I stopped and started at the 3/8 of an inch, I'm going to put some double-sided tape so that it can be my basting stitch. Okay, and then I usually do this at the same time so I know that I'm positioning the zipper correctly. I know it sounds silly, but this is my process. So we're going to start, we want the right sides touching. So you're going to want to have your zipper spacing down. So this will be the right sides touching. So you want the zipper head up right at the 3/8 of an inch mark, and I'm putting this on here. So I'm going to grab one of my lining pieces, and on the wrong side I'm going to draw the seam allowance. I'm going to draw the 3/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to draw the 3/8 of an inch pivot line, and like where we have to stop at the 3/8 of an inch. So we have it, we're going to have, oops, sorry. I think I drew it the wrong way, hold on. That's one side, the other side is this. You want them to be mirrored. The reason why I'm drawing is because I have a hard time finding where to pivot. I have no rhyme or reason why I have a hard time. So it's easier for me to know when to stop and start if I have something telling me where to stop and start. All right, so I'm going to clip this together. So because this is the opposite side, I know I'm going to put my needle down here. I'm going to sew. I'm not going to start right here. That's 3/8 of an inch. Then I'm not going to sew. Starting right here, 3/8 of an inch away. So all the way up. And then I pivot, and I'm going to sew all the way to pivot and go up. And I'm going to show you right now. Ready? Let's see. 3/8 of an inch. And then a back stitch. Okay. And alright. So see how that phrase so much. So we have it where it goes across. We have the 3/8 of an inch that did not get taken in, and then it goes up. Now we're going to do the same on the other side. We're going to make sure we stay under the 3/8 of an inch line. So with this one, we get to start with a long line, go to the crosshatch and go 3/8 and stop. So make sure you do back stitch at the beginning and end. Okay, so the reason why I like this method about putting the zipper on, I've had people that I've taught before in the past that when you separate the zipper and put the recess zipper in, that sometimes if they don't know how to put the zipper in correct, that the recess zipper can be skewed like 3/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch or something, and it looks not the best in a bag. This method can ensure that your recess zipper are going to match exactly, which I feel like is good for a beginner or someone that's advanced. So we all have our Achilles and what we're good and bad at, and this can be something that can help someone that has issues with recess zippers out a lot. Or if you're new to recess zippers, this is a perfect way to learn. And the zipper pull's not in your way. So then we're going to now snip. So we're going to, I like to snip as close as I possibly can to this V, so that way we can have a nice clean pucker. And then I also like to kind of snip the angles here because we're going to fold this in onto itself. So it helps relieve bulk. And again, I'm a firm believer, just because you can sew over bulk doesn't mean you should. It looks like bulk no matter what. So I'm just trimming. All right, let's get all these trims. All right, and then we're going to make these go right sides out. Just gently pull on the zipper. And then what we're going to do is fold these parts that didn't get sewn onto each other in on itself. And put them together. All right, and now we're going to top stitch. All the way around. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn this right sides together, wrong sides together, right sides out. I love how easy this is to turn the materials together. Okay. And we're going to do 1/8 of an inch all the way around here. Trying to get all these. This piece right here is particularly really fraying. It's fraying a lot. Oh, look, that is some serious fray action. Sometimes if it frays a lot, I hit it with a little heat from the gun so it can kind of melt on itself. So it can help. But see, now we have two pieces that are ready to go. And I'm going to find their centers. I'm going to clip them and do the snip. And see how, like, because they're already lined up, you don't have to worry about, like, are they going to be even? Or are they going to be flush? They're already, everything's kind of made for you that way already. All right. Almost getting done, guys. Okay, so we're going to take the lining. So the centers that we made before, we're going to put the lining and we're going to clip the centers. And you can see that these fit really snugly in there. Like there's maybe a 1/4 of an inch opening, and that's perfect for somebody that's like, I want some security. Not only do they have a flap, but they have a recessed zipper. But if you don't want to do the recessed zipper and just have the flap, you can do that. It's like you can build as you go line. So we're going to sew these down with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, and just make sure when you lift up your machine, like your, sorry, I'm moving things out of the way so we can start prepping it. When you lift up your flap, that the lining's covered in. It's okay when you're assembling it that if everything's not put together, but this is the final assembly. You want to make sure everything is like put together neatly. See, like that's a little bit of opening, but we want to make sure that gets covered. Okay. 1/4 of an inch. And see, it's all in there. That's perfect. All right. So now we're going to start doing the final assembly. So you want to unzip this fully, and you're going to want to take your bag, your lining, and turn it right sides out. All right. You're going to want your zipper to go towards the back of the bag. So make sure your exterior back matches with your exterior zipper. Tuck that in there. There's a lot of stuff you're tucking and stuff. So make sure your exterior back is back and make sure your exterior back with your lining side with the zipper match. Then I'm going to open up these seams. And clip. I'm going to clip in the middle part. This can be a little tight because it's not a big opening, but it's okay. You got this. If you have a free arm or a domestic on your domestic, or you have a free arm industrial, this is going to be cake for you. If you don't, you can do this on a flatbed. I did the first one on the flatbed. I'm doing this one on a flatbed. All right. If you did all the measurements accurately, like we did throughout the whole bag, you got this. Everything's going to fit easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right. So we're going to put this together at 3/8 of an inch. Back stitch well. All right, so I do this thing when I do corners that are matching. I like to backstitch over the seam. I have no idea why I do this, but it's something I do. So if you hear me backstitching, and you're like, "Why is your machine backstitching? You're not seeing why?" It's because it's probably a seam. This is not a big bag, so you're gonna put the lining and the exterior together really fast. I'm curious, put down in the comments, are you going to do a shoulder bag strap, or are you going to do a crossbody, or are you going to do like a pearl bag or a chain? I'm curious on what you're going to try. I think there's so many different chains out there that a chain would be like an amazing feature, but I also think that like I've seen a lot of people like are now making their own kind of variations, like with pearls and things like that. So I'm curious, what materials are you planning to use when you make this bag? Oh, we won bobbin chicken, guys. I feel like we should give a reward every time we do that. Yes. Before top stitching, we're golden. I'm just saying. Okay, so now we are going to birch this. So I'm going to stretch my fingers just... Okay, I'm going to take the lining out. There's not a lot of heavy stabilizers, so I feel like you're going to be able to birth this. Oh, sorry, we want to trim. We want to trim this down to 1/4 of an inch, but I like to really just trim the corner areas so that way they can lay a little flatter. I got too excited with the bobbin chicken. Sorry, guys. So, let's see. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. I did not put my phone on silent, of course. Let's press this out. Putting my hands in the bag, and I'm just finger pressing the seams. I'm going to put the lining in. Tugging. I'm going to put some clips on the side as I'm rolling the seams down, and I'm going to also put my buckles down because we're going to be doing some top stitching. And I know you want to top stitch across this. That's actually not how it gets top stitched. So I'm going to put these sides down and I'm going to explain. The top stitching is the part that I told you, the one part that it gets a little thick other than the credit cards is slots, is this part. That's why be cognizant of the material that you have. I'm going to stick the pocket in here inside before we close it up because I like to top stitch before I close up any pockets. We're going to fold this down, just making sure I give it a good tug. And clip it. And you can go over it with a seam roller, you know, a mallet. It's going to be a little bulky just in the one spot where, in the corners, and just take your time. Make sure you don't have any stabilizers or interfacing in your seam allowance. Or, honestly, I think it will look cute without top stitching, but I'm that person that likes to break the rules. Alright, so we're going to start our top stitching now. So, with our top stitching, we're going to just top stitch 1/8 of an inch, and she has a note. If you're using a flatbed, she recommends turning the bag inside out for it to be top stitch. And I think that's a really good method. So we're going to do that. We're going to take this bag. That's why I didn't close the pocket. And we're going to turn this bag inside out. And that's why there's not a whole lot of interfacing in here. So you can get this done. And we're going to start at a corner. And if you want to pull your threads to the back, you can have longer tails on this to make sure you have a nice clean. I always start in a corner. And we're going to do 1/8 of an inch, okay? I backstitch, so no, I'm not pulling my threads to the back. And breathe. When you have to remove a clip or position something, just have that needle down. You're going to be fine. When I'm top stitching, I look at that number that I'm trying to focus on and not the needle bar, because I don't know, it's like somewhat hypnotizing and then I'll lose focus. So I'll look at a straight line. When I lived in California, I used to do a lot of like Pilates and yoga, and I had an instructor when I couldn't do certain like balancing things. She was like, she noticed that I was like looking at like a water bottle or whatever, and she advised me to look at something that wasn't moving. And when I started like focusing on something that wasn't moving, then I was able to achieve certain positions. So that is how I take my on my sewing too. So I'll look at a straight line versus the needle bar or the zipper foot or anything, and it helps me achieve better top stitching. Okay, just 1 second. Make sure you don't do like I do and have your zipper completely out of the way. I'm just removing one stitch. Have your zipper out of the way so that way it does not get caught up in the stitch. Okay. Okay, I'm going to trim down those threads. And then turn this bag right side out again. I'm just going to finger press these seams. And then I'm going to take this pocket and close it up. going to close this up with a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then we're going to make a strap, and then we're going to bring it to the table as we set these rivets, and you're going to see the whole entire bag. And I hope you do decide to make this bag, and I'm excited to see different variations of it, because this bag is amazing as is, and it's amazing to see what how other people like add or subtract or recreate to it. It's a beautiful bag. Move this thread. All right. So we're going to close up this zipper and get those threads. Okay, that's smoking. That's always a good sign. I'm just rolling out the seam. This bag has been manipulated, it's been birthed, and it's been turned inside out a couple times. But it's still looking super cute. So now we're going to, oh no, I was closing to the right and not the left. Interesting. Okay, you know what I did is when I put the zipper in on the lining, I did not match the zipper going with the zipper. So if you following this, when you're putting this onto the lining piece, put the zipper, make sure you have the zippers going in the same direction and you won't have this problem. But it's cool. I'm okay with it. It's still going to be a cute bag. There's no wrong or right way to put in a zipper pocket. So let's see. All right, we're going to put a zipper end real quick. And the zipper end, it looks like this and has one little screw. How I like to do it real quick is I take a piece of double-sided tape, and you're like, Shanova, enough with the tape. I promise you, this method helps out tremendously. I put it onto the zipper. And I fold over, and I fold over again. And then we're going to just slide this through. Hold on, I might have to, this part is pretty frayed bad. You can do it with no tape. I just find it easier with. We're going to fold over, and then we're going to feed it through. Put the little screw in. Use your screwdriver. And if you can't find a small enough screwdriver, usually eyeglasses kits that you see at the grocery store or gas stations, they're perfect screwdrivers. And you're done with that part. Okay. And that's, I'm going to do a quick crossbody. And then this bag is so cute. I also think that a shoulder bag is really in right now, and I like the way it looks. As I'm doing my crossbody, I'm just folding it over onto itself, and I'm not over manipulating the way the fabric folds over, so I can have a nice crossbody that's not all twisty. I'm leaving a 1/8 of an inch gap. All right, so we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch down both sides, and we're going to make sure that we backstitch really well at the beginning and end. Just you can use clips to hold it in place. I just noticed if I have the 1/8 of an inch gap, it just folds over on itself really nicely. Okay, stitch across, and we're going to go down the closed side, and we're just going to let it fly. And just slow down when you're getting closer to the end. We're going to let it go across again. Okay, let's go over to this area so we can make some holes and get this all squared away. So I like my straps to fold over about 1 inch. So I'm going to just mark it. And what I do is I usually bring my other strap in over, and I use this as my marking tool. All right, nice and clean. He built up there, needs to get a cleaning out. So we're going to put in the slider. Okay. And looking for those pretty pink rivets I had. Let's see. Of course, when I'm on camera, that's what I lose absolutely everything. I promise you, that's how it works. But it's okay. I can use different color rivets. So I need 2 stems and 2 heads. And I'm going to use these nice teal ones. I like to use different color rivets just to add a nice little pop of color sometimes to just to give it a little bit of flair. So I'm going to set this. Okay. While my strap is nice and straight, I'm going to thread a strap clasp through, and then once I thread it through, I'm sorry, I just did it without even thinking. I apologize. Once I do a strap connector through, a strap clasp through it, then I'm going to go up and under the slider, and you'll see there's that. And then I'm going to have this opening, and I'm going to feed it through. And you just want to make sure that your connectors are like facing the same way, just in case. Just a pop of color. And set these. All right. So let me move this out of the way, and this, so you can see what you did today. So we put on a magnet. You open this up. You have credit card slots, a slip pocket, a nice zipper pocket, a nice roomy but not baggy interior, and you just all in all have a excellent bag with a nice recessed zipper that lays on the top. I love how this fixture does. So it's like a double enclosure, and perfect measurements for the gusset, perfect measurements for the magnet. I like literally can't beat it. And you can either make this a shoulder strap, crossbody, chain. There's so many variations you can make of it. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The possibilities are endless. So I hope that you enjoyed this sew along today. And if you have any questions, please leave comments down below. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment. Please hit that smash that like button, and share if you feel like this video is worthy. The description box will have the link to where you could purchase this pattern. It's non-affiliate, but if you're like, hey Shanova, I want to do something for you because you walked me through this journey of this Ari bag, Ava bag, then yeah, I'll have a Ko-fi link in the description box too. So until the next time, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.